20 years ago, on March 23, 2003, at the Wanderers Cricket Ground in South Africa, Australia and India met in the final of the ODI Cricket World Cup. Australia batted first and made 359 for 2, thanks to Ricky Ponting 140 from 121 deliveries. When India batted, Sachin Tendulkar played a straight drive off Glenn McGrath and it sailed into the long on off boundary for 4. The Indian commentators in the box drummed and said Sachin Tendulkar has this one. A few deliveries later though, Glenn McGrath bowled a slow delivery and Sachin Tendulkar was into the drive again and he popped a return catch to the bowler. Despite Virender Sehwag making 83, India never recovered and were bowled out for 234 in 39.2 overs. And Australia has won the second leg of a treble because in 1999 they won the World Cup. They won it again in 2003 and in 2007 in the West Indies. They complete the treble by winning the ODI World Cup on 3 consecutive occasions. So since that final 20 years ago between the two teams, Australia have won the World Cup twice and India have won it once. Australia won it, as I said, in 2007 and again in 2015, and India doing so in 2011. For the last 3 World Cups, the host team have won those World Cups. India in 2011, Australia in 2015, and England in 2019. In this 2023 edition of the World Cup, India, the host team, they are in the final. And will this be 4 consecutive World Cup in a row that the host team will win? That's left to be seen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. I'm joined by Bobby Brown, our resident analyst, who have always been here with us. Good morning, Bobby, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. How you doing?
I'm great. Over 100,000 spectators will metamorphose the Narendra Modi Stadium into a sea of blue. There will be a few pockets of the canary yellow, but to be exact, almost 130,000 persons will be shouting against the Australian cricket team. They will be destined for an Indian victory. Earlier this year, in the CPL, the same vibes that was in Guyana is now the same vibes that in India. But you need to multiply that by at least 1,000 times to understand the crescendo that is in India. Bobby, what are your opening thoughts on this World Cup final?
I think it's going to be a competitive one, a challenging one. But I think India will come away as the victors in this one.
Okay, thank you. We saw where in the preliminary round, India cruised through with 9 consecutive victories and then winning their semifinal to make it 10 consecutive victories in this tournament. They are unbeaten so far and they look a well-oiled machine, an unstoppable force. When you look at the Australian team, having lost their first 2 matches, and many of you had written them off, including Bobby and a number of you in the chat. But I insisted that Australia is going to win the World Cup. And now they are just 1 step away from making that prediction becomes a reality. Australia have know how to win World Cup. They have won 5 ODIs World Cup in the past, and they have won 2 T20 World Cups. Many of these players were on that World Test Championship team that beat India earlier in the year. Are India seeking revenge in this match, Bobby?
Yes, India is seeking revenge in this match. I think this time will be the first time Australia will lose at a final. So I think India is going to win them. India just looked too strong for them.
Now, speaking earlier today at the pre-match interview, Australian captain Pat Cummins say they will want to silence the crowd.
You know, the crowd's obviously going to be very one-sided, but it's also, in sport, there's nothing more satisfying than hearing a big crowd go silent, and that's the aim for us tomorrow.
Do you think you will be able to achieve that, Bobby, to silence over 132,000 spectators at that wonderful spectacle that will unfold at the Narendra Modi Stadium tomorrow? I think, in my opinion, this is the pinnacle of all sports, bar none. Will Australia be able to silence that crowd tomorrow?
Yeah, momentarily for you know, some sessions maybe, yeah, they will silence the crowd because Australia is a fighter team, and you know they'll fight till the very last ball. So you know there will be moments when they will silence the crowd, but I think in the end, you know, the crowd will rise and India will take it home.
Let's look at the statistics leading up to the finals. And we'll start with the leading runs getter in the tournament. We saw where Kohli is the leading runs getter so far with 711 runs. Sharma is next, is fifth with 550 runs. Warner is sixth. Sherris Aya is seventh. And Marsh is ninth. So of the top 10 leading run scorer in the tournament, 5 are playing in this final. 3 of them Indians, 2 of them Australian. Does that mean that the Indian batting lineup is more powerful than the Australian batting lineup?
Yes, I think so. And more stable than the Australian batting lineup.
Yes, so, all right, but if we look now, you would say that it is more stable. But look at the highest individual run scorer in a single innings in the World Cup. Maxwell is number 1 with 201. March, another Australian, is second with 177. David Warner is fourth with 163. And the top Indian, Rohit Sharma, comes in at number 10 with 131. This tomorrow is the final. It's a one-off match. The number of runs that you scored in the World Cup, does that supersede the one big innings? Does this statistics with the highest individual score in innings tells us that Australian batsmen can take the game to a level that the Indian batsmen cannot take it to in a one-off innings?
A one batsman, yes. You know, if you're talking about one batsman, then yeah, you know, an Australian batsman can take it a bit further. But in terms of, you know, partnership, I think India, you know, is better off on that. And I don't think that the Indian bowling lineup will allow any of Australian batsmen to get off like that.
But apart from the fact that the Australian batsmen have the highest individual number of runs, we have also seen where the Australian batsmen are batting faster than the Indians in this tournament. For Maxwell with a strike rate of 150, Ed with a strike rate of 139 are both ahead of the top Indian, who is Rohit Sharma. As I said previously, perception is one thing, but the reality is different. Because one would get the impression that Rohit Sharma's strike rate was much higher than 124 because he seems to be a bully at the top of the order. How important is the ability to score quickly it is going to be in this final, Bobby?
I don't think it's gonna be of that important. You know, I've always think if you go out there and you score 30 or 20 from 10 balls, you know, the guy that scored 50 from 40 balls, I think his contribution will be more valuable than yours. So I think,
Oh, go ahead with your comment.
yeah, so I think yeah, I've never been really a fan of high strike rates.
Okay. So Sharma was saying that he's not worried about the Australian. Should he be worried? Listen to him.
To worry about what the opposition is and what kind of form they are in and all of that. We need to focus on what is important for us, what we need to do as a team and as players as well. So a lot of focus and a lot of time is given to that thought, and we will stick to it.
Okay. So sorry. Oh gosh, where's Bobby? Where Bobby gone? Sorry, Bobby. But I was just about to ask Bobby the question. Bobby, could you come back, please? Please come back. I don't know where Bobby gone. But I was just about to ask Bobby if Sharma should be worried about the Australian team. Let me see if I can. Yes, Bobby, what happened? What happened there, Bobby? It was
Yeah,
on my part. I just clicked the wrong button and you disappeared. So I was
okay,
just going to
okay.
ask you, should Sharma be worried about Australia tomorrow? He's clearly saying there that he's not worried about the opposition. Should he be worried?
No, I don't think they should be worried. I think what he should be worried about is overconfidence. But I think this time he's right and the Indians are right. You know, they're playing just on another level. So I don't think he should be worried.
Yes. Both teams will be fighting not only to lift the World Cup trophy tomorrow, not only to say they are the best ODI team in the world, but they will also be fighting for $2 million US. As the losing finalists will get $2 million and the winner will get $4 million US. So both finalists already guaranteed $2 million US. So the winner will go home with an extra $2 million tomorrow. Now we'll look at the batting of both teams, and we see that India clearly have the edge when it comes to the accumulation of runs. We see that Australian batsmen are making the bigger totals and are scoring faster. But what I really think that is in India's favor tomorrow is the bowling. Let's look at the bowlers. Mohammad Shami lead the standing with 23 wickets. Zampa is second with 22, and sixth place is Bumrah with 18. How devastating is this Indian bowling attack, Bobby?
Very, very devastated. You know, especially with Shami and the type of form he's on. I don't know what type of form, where did he get that form from, but it's very devastating.
Yes. Not only is Shami the leading wicket taker in the tournament, but Shami also has the best figure in the tournament. He's 7 for 57, is first in the tournament, and he got that in the semi-final in a match where New Zealand made over 300 runs. In a match where 3 centuries were scored, that tells you that the pitch is good, where one team scored over 400 and the other team replied with over 300 runs. And to get 7 for 57 in that match, it shows how brilliant he is bowling. Please react to that bowling performance from me, Bobby.
I mean, it was just great. You know, that's one of the finest seam bowling I've ever seen. You know,
Okay,
it was just different.
it was just different.
I mean, I feel like in the last he might have gotten some easy wickets because New Zealand was just swinging and but especially in his earlier spells, you know, it was awesome.
Yes, but also, so Shami not only is the leading wicket taker in the tournament, not only does he has the best figure in the tournament, but he has the best strike rate, meaning on average, he's getting a wicket every 11 delivery. This is out of this world. This is world class, Bobby.
Very much. Very, very much. I think India is lucky because they left him out initially. So I think they have to thank Pandeya's injury because I think it would be a much harder for them to win the title without Shami. I mean,
Okay.
Bumrah is looking good, but he's more economical than looking threatening.
Yes, and as you talk about economy, Bumrah, when you look at the economy, Bumrah is third on the chart. Interestingly though, India as a bowler, Ravichandra Ashwin, whose economy in the tournament is 3.4 and is not likely to play in the final. And he has the second best economy in the tournament. Joshua Bumrah, as you said, as the third best. Jadeja as the sixth best. Yadav, Kuldeep Yadav as the eighth best. So when it comes to minimizing runs, when it comes to economy, Indians are 4 of the top 10 bowlers when it comes to a low economy. How does this match up to the Australian batsmen who are the highest run scorer in the tournament in an innings? How do you match that up?
A very good matchup. But it's fire against fire. So let's see who wins tomorrow. But I mean, I think it's a very good matchup. But you know, when the batsman try to attack you and you're very economical, they're more than likely to give you wickets.
Okay, but Cummins in his pre-match press conference also said that it will be a balanced match.
I think you can make a case for either side. Yeah, the good thing is I think we've got 6 or 7 guys that won it in 2015, so we know that feeling. Even more of the guys that were there in the T20 World Cup, different format, but pretty much everyone, well, you know, at least a dozen of the 15 have won a World Cup and know what it takes and know that feeling, and you know, won't be afraid to go out there and be brave and take the game on.
How important will that be that Australia have won several World Cup in the past, and do you agree that this will be a balanced match?
Australia will fight. I know Australia is a fighter. Being balanced, I'm not sure how much balance it would be, but one thing for sure, the Australian team and this team, you know, they've always been fighters and they fight till the end.
And then what is it about the Australian? What is it about the character, the makeup of the Australian that let you believe that they are going to fight to the end and they are really fighters?
Especially from that match that they lost against India in the group stage. You know, they were down and out, and then they came back with some firepower. And then the next match with Afghanistan, how Maxwell and Cummins took it back. So, you know, Australia have always been a fighter team that does not give up. They don't give up until the very end.
All right. Speaking about that match against Australia, they were 1 wicket away, I believe, from winning that match. If Marsh had taken that catch off Kohli, would that result have been different? And the fact that Australia lost that match, is it that is in Australia's favor? Because you could look at it and say that it's going to be very hard to beat India twice in the tournament. And having lost that match, is that put this in Australia's favor? Because it's also hard to beat Australia twice in one tournament.
Yeah, it's very hard, but I think at that time, India, maybe they were a bit timid. You know, it was the start of the tournament. And as the tournament progressed, they got more confident. And I think, you know, right now they have their confidence. And I don't think it will be a same type of match like that.
Okay. Now, tomorrow, if you win the toss, what would you do, Bobby? If you win the toss?
If I win the toss, I'm going to bowl.
You're going to bowl?
Yes.
But here's what Shami said about the toss.
That's why I keep saying the toss is not going to be a factor. You've got to play well to win the game, regardless of, you know, the conditions and the temperatures. You've got to play well. You've got to play good cricket, absorb the pressure whenever the pressure has been put on you. So yeah, I think that's where it boils down to. You got to just understand what is expected out of you at that point in time.
Okay, so there is what he's saying, Bobby, that he doesn't think the toss would matter. You said that if you win the toss, you will bowl first. Do you think, and we're being joined by Andre, do you think, Bobby, that putting runs on the board in a final is really what you need to do as a team in such a big final? And they always say there's scoreboard pressure, Bobby.
Yeah, there's definitely scoreboard pressure. If you go there and you put big runs on the board, then it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have a lot of pressure. But on the other hand, if you go there and you lose a few quick wickets, and even if you pull it back and you post a very modest total, then it could be easier when you're batting after. Then you could know what exactly you're going for.
Okay. Bobby, I want to thank you for joining us today. We're going to finish up the program with Andre. We look forward to you coming on the show tomorrow, as we'll do a complete watch-along for the second innings of the final. Thank you very much, Bobby, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll talk later. Have a good afternoon now.
All right.
Yes. So, Andre, you would have heard that clip from Rohit Sharma saying that the toss will not be a factor. If you win the toss tomorrow, what would you do?
If I win the toss tomorrow, I would bat first, because I think, as I said, that runs on the board, especially in the finals, can prove very, very, very critical, and especially if you're the home team with a very big score on the board and with the sort of bowling, that India possess, and the form that their bowlers are in. I would think that, that the Australians will succumb to the pressure, one, of the quality bowling, and two, feeling the pressure of the home crowd. So I think that, winning the toss tomorrow, not saying that it is, it's a given that you win the toss and bat first that you're going to win, but runs on the board in a finals, I think that is a lot of pressure.
Please flash a like on the video, click on the subscribe button, and share the video with your friends and so on. Andre, summarize the final for me. What do you think that is going to happen in this final?
Honestly, I think, whether India bats first or they bat second, I think that at this point in time that they're so confident, and that they're both, you have so many players in form, both in terms of the batting and in terms of the bowling, right? So I just don't see Australia would have to play out of the skin of their teeth tomorrow to overcome India, because India, the top 5 batsmen, they are in supreme form, and the bowlers, they're in really good form, and they're going to have the home crowd to push them. So I really think that, it's going to be, I'm expecting a very good match, because Australia is not a team that will say they're not going to roll over and die. That's for sure. But I think that India, they're far more confident, and they have far more players in form than the Australians.
Okay, thank you. So you are expecting that India will win the match tomorrow?
Yes, I'm expecting India to win the match. Because
okay.
Those players there, as I said, they're in supreme form. The bowling, they've clicked right through the tournament. Even if, look at Bumrah. Bumrah had an off day the other day, but yet still others, fill the gap. So, and I don't really expect Bumrah to have 2, poor matches. So I am expecting that, and if Rohit Sharma doesn't come off, if Kohli doesn't come off, Shreyas Iyer, Gill, somebody's going to get you. So I just think that, I just don't see the Australians overcoming the Indians. And the thing about Australia too is that I think the middle order is a big concern for the Australians, right? Marnus is not in any great form. Steve Smith has not done anything much in the World Cup so far. The wicketkeeper Inglis has not performed well. So the middle order is a very, very shaky middle order for the Australians. So India, I think it should be overwhelming favorites.
And this is a one-off match, and we know that the Australians are champion. Persons like Stark love these occasions. Steve Smith love these occasions. So we should not be looking at what they have done so far in the World Cup. But when it comes to finals, these guys are ready for it. Let us look at the condition tomorrow at the Narendra Modi Stadium. So the weather, 2 p.m. in India time, that's when the match will start tomorrow, 2 p.m. in India, 3:30 a.m. in Jamaica, 4:30 a.m. in the Eastern Caribbean. It will be sunny at that time, 32 degrees Celsius. The precipitation will be 0, the humidity will be 33, and the wind, there'll barely be any wind. 5 kilometers per hour, it's barely any wind. The match officials for tomorrow match. The match referee will be Andy Prykoff. The umpires on the field will be Richard Illingworth and Richard Kettleborough, 2 Englishmen. The third umpire will be the West Indies Joel Wilson, and the fourth umpire will be Chris Gaffney from New Zealand. Andre, should Joel Wilson be one of those standing umpires on the field tomorrow?
Well, first and foremost, congrats to Joel Wilson, because I honestly, I don't think Joel is probably the most excellent of umpires. But in all fairness to Joel, I think he has had a pretty good tournament. I've watched him throughout the tournament, and I think he has had a decent tournament to be fair to him. So kudos to him first and foremost. I'm a bit surprised though that who I think Erasmus from South Africa, who I think is the best umpire around. It's quite surprising to me that Erasmus is not one of the standing umpires for tomorrow's game, right? But Richard Illingworth and Kettleborough, they have a decent tournament also. So I don't have a big issue with it. But I'm surprised that Erasmus from South Africa is not one of the standing umpires.
Well, Erasmus would never be one of the standing umpire because the Australians have great challenges. They have great difficulty with Erasmus umpiring Indians matches. So I'm sure that the Australians would have come out and said they don't want Erasmus at that match. Well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but it's likely that they would have object to Erasmus umpiring the final. The person who I really object about umpiring the final is Kettleborough. After making that blunder and not calling that wide, he should not be rewarded in umpiring the final. So I would definitely not have Kettleborough. You said that Joel Wilson have a decent tournament. I think he have a brilliant, magnificent tournament. Throughout the tournament, I cannot see one mistake that Joel Wilson have made.
Yeah, and I guess because Steve Butner umpired in so many finals, they're saying, oh, well, West Indian has umpired in so many finals. And, this is the time when being that there's England is not in the finals, let us use 2 Englishmen, So I don't know if there's any politics involved or anything of the sort. But, still kudos to Joel Wilson, though. I'm glad that at least he has gotten he has gotten a part to play in the finals. But I agree, Kettleborough did make that was a major blunder on his part, So, but I don't know how they go about choosing the umpires for the finals. I have no idea as to how they go about doing that.
Okay. Yes, being the third umpire in a big match like this is going to be very, very crucial. It's going to be very important. And I hope he doesn't have any challenging decision to make. Those ones where you wonder whether it's a catch or not. I hope he doesn't have any of those. Looking at the team, Andre, do you think or do you expect any change in the Australian team? In my opinion, they will go in with more or less the same team. The only concern or the only thing I guess they will think about, and the captain, Pat Cummins, spoke about it today at the pre-match press conference. Will it be Labuschagne or Stonis? Who do you go with?
I would still go with Labuschagne. Stonis is a very, very unreliable batsman, A matter of fact, Stonis' record in terms of ODI cricket has been very, very poor. I saw it the other day where I think that he has probably made 150 in the last 2 years, thereabouts. So Stonis, Labuschagne is far more reliable. Is a far more reliable player, So I would still go in with the same 11 that played in the semifinals.
Okay, what do you think about India? Will they go in with the same team, or will we see probably Ashwin coming in for one of the seamers?
I don't think so at all. This 11 has done wonders for India. So I don't see India making any changes whatsoever. Unless someone gets injured, very late. I don't see India making any changes to their 11. And these players are, the bowling has been pretty good. The batting is in supreme form, so I think they're pretty much going with the same 11.
Sharma said that they are very clear.
I feel at that point is right for the team. So, I prepared my game, prepared my tactics around that. So I'm pretty clear in what I want to do as a batsman, And, when you play on good pitches, sometimes you get that feeling that it's a good pitch. You can take on the bowlers. Sometimes if you see the ball is just, nipping around a little bit, you need to try and understand what are your thoughts then. So I'm prepared to, take all of this thought into the game. And
What you think about that comment from Sharma? He's very clear in his role. How do you react to that?
Yeah, I mean, Sharma is right through the tournament. I mean, he has each player has their own role to play, and then they know exactly what they want to do. And whether they're batting first or they're batting last, they know exactly what they want to do. Is tactics. You can see that they have a tactics. They have a plan for each player, for each opponent. So he's quite clear in whatever he wants to do and whatever they want to do as a team.
So finally, Andre, who do you think is going to win the World Cup? Before we come to the comments in the comment section, we are coming to the comments just about now. Who do you think are going to win the World Cup?
India will go one more than the West Indies come tomorrow. So India will be 3 times champion, and Australia will remain as 5-time champions of the cricket 50 over World Cup.
When Australia lost their first 2 matches in this tournament, I told you, I told Bobby, I told everyone that listened to me that Australia is going to win the tournament. That doesn't change. The conflict that I'm having, though, is that deep down within my soul, I would want India to win. But my brain is telling me, after all the rationality, after all the analytics, my brain is telling me that Australia will still win the 2023 ODI Cricket World Cup. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm just about now going to take your comments. Merrick Meredith, good morning, sir. I await to see your prediction come to light. Thank you, Merrick. You remember those predictions. The champion is saying Australia will give everything they have. That's for sure. Is that so, Bobby? Is that so, Andre?
Yeah. A team that never says never. They won't, as I said, they won't lay over and just die like that. They're going to give it everything they have, and it's a very, very mentally very, very tough. And it's going to be it's going to be very, very competitive match tomorrow. So I think, India will have to play some really excellent cricket tomorrow to prevail.
So Christopher Bristol is saying, my, Mr. Brown prediction is getting closer and closer. Yes, Christopher Bristol, that's why you need to listen to me on most occasions. I have big respect for Brown. This man know how him cricket really good. I must admit it. Thank you, Christopher Bristol. I'm glad you finally admit it. I think India will win though. Australia will put up a good fight, but India taking the trophy. That's my opinion. And Christopher Bristol, that is true. It's our opinion. We are sticking to our opinion. Most definitely, Australia will silence the crowd. Earlier in the show, Bobby, before you were here, I played a clip where Pat Cummins is saying that they are going to silence the crowd. Do you think that they can silence the crowd tomorrow? Andre?
Yes, they do. They have the ability to do that, especially if they when India bats, if they get a couple quick wickets, especially the wicket of Rohit Sharma and Kohli, because those two are the most experienced players, and those two, are really, really critical in their batting, and they have the experience, as I said before. So if they get out really quickly, India just might feel the pressure weighing on them. So I think, the one of two Kohli or Sharma, I think, is gonna be very, very, very key in India's batting tomorrow, whether they bat first or they bat second. Because they're experienced customers and they have the ability to really calm the rest of the dressing room, to calm the rest of the batters who might be nervous playing in their first final. Because apart from, I think Kohli and Sharma are the only two who have played. I don't even think Sharma's played a finals before. I think only Kohli has played a final before.
Okay. A number of persons are saying that this Indian team is arrogant, and we see it murdered. But I also believe that this Australian team is arrogant. And what I always tell persons is that I can find something about every team that is in sport, international sports all over the world, every team. I can find something. If you give me 24 hours, I can dig up something to let you hate that team. There's always something bad that you can find about every team in international sports. And while I agree that the Indians are arrogant, I too believe that the Australians are arrogant. So what I try to do when I'm watching sports, cricket, football, whatsoever, is not to look at the individual, but to look at the performances. But no doubt about it, murdered, the Indians are arrogant. And maybe they are more arrogant than the rest. The champion is saying Australia got this one. Welcome to the club, the champion. Hold that, Andre. Indeed, Frank. Frank, I really think that tomorrow will definitely be a cliffhanger. And Lou Prudent is saying, good afternoon, all. Let me say I have thoroughly enjoyed this version of the 50-over World Cup. Tomorrow final will be quite interesting. Andre, sum up the entire World Cup for me in a minute or two, not very long.
Well, I mean, to me, the World Cup has been quite intriguing, to say the least. The fact that we did not even know who two of the semi-finalists would be until probably the last 3 games says a lot. I think that the likes of Afghanistan have played some really tremendous cricket. Even Netherlands, although they have only won 2 matches, but they have actually competed at the World Cup. We have had some really one-sided games, but we have also had some very, very close games and some very, very, some very exciting cricket being played. So, I really enjoyed the Cricket World Cup, just like Lou. I think that's been very, very quite exciting. And this might just be, I for one thought that, the 50 overs was actually on the way out and actually dying. But, watching this 50 over version of the World Cup, has shown me that there is still some life left in 50 overs cricket. So, for the very intriguing, very, very competitive, and quite one that I will never forget.
Thank you very much for that, Andre. Lou Prudent is continuing by saying India will continue with their front foot press. Will India continue with their front foot press? Yes, in that interview that lasted about 33 minutes with Rohit Sharma earlier today, India time, earlier this morning in the Caribbean, he said that they are very clear and they are going forward with the same manner in which they are playing, and that Royal Dravid have backed them to the T. So that's answered. Will Australia look to pick their moment as they have done since after their second loss earlier in the tournament? I think they're going to do that. A very interesting comment, a very interesting post, Lou Prudent. I love that play. So Dave Jogi is saying that India is going to win the World Cup. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Dave, but come tomorrow morning about this time, you will be in mourning because Australia is definitely going to win. Frank Comine, I think Frank Comine from Australia. I don't quite remember, but I think he's from Australia. To be honest, Australia is the last team India wanted to play in the finals. Let's face it, both teams are arrogant. Andre, do you think that Australia is the last team that India wants to play in the final?
Yeah, I would think so because Australia, they have the championship medal. I mean, several Australians have actually won World Cup before, and the Australian way is never say die, and they always find a way to eke out the very best out of their talents that they have. So yes, I think the Australians would probably be the last team that Indians would want to face. But I think that this particular Indian team is a very, very confident one, a one in which they, as Rohit Sharma says, everybody knows their role, and the team, they know exactly what they want to do. You realize that even Sharma, I think, has been a bit more aggressive than normally, right? Because he has come out, he has even sacrificed his wicket to play to make sure that the team gets off to a very, very good start. So they have a way, they have a very attacking way. They know exactly what they want to do, and for the most part, they have done it really well in this particular World Cup tournament.
So the expected teams for tomorrow, India is expected to play the same 11, unchanged. So that's their team, while Australia will think about whether to keep Labuschagne or play Stoinis. Tomorrow, the match officials on the field will be Illingworth and Ketterer, with West Indian Joel Wilson being the third umpire. At the end of the day, though, Australia will be crowned 2023 ODI Cricket World Cup champion and move on to 6. Thank you all for being here, everyone. Thank you, Andre, for joining us. Have a great day, and we look forward to see you tomorrow morning, just around 7:30, for the live watch-along of the second innings of the World Cup final. See you then. Have a great day.